afternoon. My name's Steve Gibson. I am the Chief Strategy Officer at Strangeworks, and I'm very excited to be here today to present to you. We were here last year, so it's an honor to be able to come back and talk to you again this year. So before we get started, I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover who is Strangeworks. We're going to talk about where the technology is at today, and a recommended path forwards for commercial use. We're going to talk a little bit about quantum-inspired technologies and the path to using them to provide value today. And then a little bit about the questions that you should be asking your organization from a business perspective. So let's start with who is Strangeworks. So we're based in Austin, Texas, although we have employees around the globe. And our core mission is to be able to enable anyone from any organization to be able to solve high-value business problems utilizing advanced compute hardware and software. And we believe in the power of community. You can come and see us at our booth. We have a suite of partners from the technology space, the software, education, professional services. And we really believe in bringing all these together to provide solutions for you. And we also know that not every solution out there just fits your needs out of the box. And so we created 4 pillars from Strangeworks' perspective to be able to help you. Firstly, flexibility. We try and enable your organization to work and manage and use your workflows as you see fit. We enable you to be able to select the hardwares that work for you, use the environments that you want to use, and use the frameworks that really are native to what you're used to using. From a customization perspective, we recognize that not everything works out of the box. And so I have a suite of team of expert software engineers and quantum physicists that can really help you customize your solutions for your workflow needs. Now, collaboration, I mentioned earlier about our partnerships. We really build deep relationships with all of our partners and try and be able to bring the best in performance and the best in experience to you with all of our products. And so because of that network and the fact that we are completely hardware agnostic and software agnostic, we're able to really be that strategic advisor for you. We don't put any one technology first, and so we can help you understand what the landscape looks like and really keep your needs at the forefront. So let's talk a little bit about the path to commercial use. As with any digital transformation, it's a 2-step process. It's not just the technology itself, and many of the conversations we're having today are around the technology, and they're moving rapidly. But it's also about business processes. It's about understanding how you implement these new technologies across your business units. So let's talk about both of these in tandem and how they happen. So firstly, let's think about the technology. Let's start with what we know. So I think we all recognize it's relatively early days for the technology, and it's going to take some time for quantum advantage. However, the qubit count is increasing, the quality of these is increasing, and the number of different modalities changes every day. However, right now, they realistically can't handle full, commercially scalable, valuable problems. That's why we're all here today. That's why a lot of people talk about research and development, and areas of the business that are focused on the quantum is that research and development. But we also recognize from a business perspective, there's a significant opportunity to be able to advance these in multiple different technology sectors. And as with solving any problem, starting out small, building on those problems, and building up to the real-world problems is realistically the best way for you to be able to do this. Now, many of you already know this, and you're already in the process of doing that. So why do I say this, and why does this matter? Well, it's the side that not many people talk about. It's the business aspect of this. The conference is called Q2B for a reason. Sorry, did I go back? Nope. So most of the audience here is from large corporations. And you know that transitions in technology take time. They take collaboration. So let's imagine a scenario together quickly. Let's imagine one of the many vendors that are here were able to announce on stage today, quantum advantage is here. Let's imagine they can guarantee you performance today. But as an organization, have you prepared to be able to capitalize on that technology shift? If you think about it hard and you really ask yourself the question, the likely answer is actually no. Have you actually looked at having the specialists inside your organization that understand which of the several technologies out there is the one to get the first advantage, the one that you can take and get those results for? Have you trained your non-quantum developers, so your classical developers, to even understand what is the other side of my business talking about when they talk about qubits? How do I integrate that and incorporate that into my existing workflows and existing business practices? Is there a code base there that's tested and secured and in the right format for you to be able to really use and integrate these tools? And then the last one, which is a little near and dear to my heart, which is the business teams, the risk teams, the compliance teams, legal. Do we know the structures? Do we know the IP concerns? Do we know about export control? Have all of those business units been along on this journey with you and understanding, not just from a technology perspective, but how do we really bring this technology into the business? And all these steps are really needed to be able to deploy these new technologies and capitalize on them. So that's why today, I believe that that's the time to get started. Don't just focus on the technology, but also on the business transformation. Think about this, embracing it as a whole. Don't just measure the performance of the technologies today and look at it and say it doesn't have ROI, I should be waiting for full quantum advantage. Be prepared today, understand how these performance changes over time. Now, there's a sea of technologies out there, many of which are presented to you on the stage, even more outside. So where do you get started? So this is one area where I believe is a good place to get going. Obviously, we're talking about gate technologies. We talk about annealing technologies, but look at quantum-inspired technologies as well. Combine all of these different opportunities together and look at the different areas of the technology. And you should be combining all of them in your studies. And in doing so, what you'll be able to do is start to solve business value problems today while preparing for that problem, preparing for full quantum advantage in the future. Because while we're at the beginning of the journey from a technology perspective, it doesn't mean we have to hold up the business journey. And the reason why I think that's important and why you're able to really gain those values today comes from not needing to have a step change in performance. A simple 1 or 2% change in speed, cost, or quality of result could actually lead to millions of dollars in cost savings or in revenue today. So you don't need to wait for that technology. You don't need to look at it and say, oh, ROI it's not available today. I can't move it. And the reason why I believe I can say this is we partner with many of these folks. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of use cases of where this is being used today. It's not changed. It's possible. Oh, there we go. Oh, the notes are off. Apologies. So from NEC's perspective, NEC have been doing a production planning manufacturing process, and they've been using their vector annealer, and I've already seen a 10x improvement in the actual speed of results and the quality. They're actually doing a presentation tomorrow afternoon, so I implore you to go and check that out. Toshiba have been looking at high-frequency trading using their simulated bifurcation machine. They have a number of examples from the finance space. And in their detection of mispricings, they were able to help the organization to be able to come up with new approaches from a business perspective for doing this. They actually released, last week, they released a publication on the archive. From Hitachi, they've been working with the insurance company called Sompo Japan. The goal of their project was to use the CMOS annealer to determine which risk positions to hold from an underwriting perspective, and in particular looking at natural disaster and risks. This is an example that's gone well for them. and you can speak to them outside from on the booth. D-Wave, interesting one, particularly for here in Japan. They've been working with Recruit to optimize the timing of ads on TV. It's actually been so successful that today it's being used in production, and it's very possible that you've already seen ads that have been placed on the TV by the use of the D-Wave machine. Fujitsu have been working with Bayer, and they've worked together to explore a complex materials campaign. This project was focused around scheduling up to 1,200 different materials across their global supply chain. And the reason why this one is important is prior to looking at this technology, they were not able to do this. So this is an actual change for that organization to be able to do something they were previously unable to do. And lastly, Strangeworks. We have been working with a healthcare and life sciences company. Our focus was to be able to expand the results from a study that was done 3 years ago and look at 8 different technologies across the classical, quantum, and quantum-inspired workspace. We actually saw a 93% improvement in results versus the previous study, and really importantly for them, they're not just looking from a technology perspective, but they're looking at how do I now incorporate this into my run business? How do I manage that data transfer and all the aspects I spoke about a minute ago? So from all these great technology use cases, it gives you an example, hopefully, that there is opportunity out there today. You should be looking at these, and by learning and applying those technologies today, you can really understand from the business side of the aspects how to bring them in, and also look at the gate-based technologies and all of the other different modalities are there, and understand as a whole how these technologies are changing over time. So the other aspect then, we talked a little about the technologies and some of the success stories that are there. But from a business, where do you start? Maybe it's sitting in R&D now, and maybe you think this is the first time you've thought to yourself, actually, maybe I need to get legal and compliance involved, or other areas of the team. So from a strategic perspective, these are just a few of the questions that pretty much every conversation I have with an organization, these are the first few questions that we ask, and if you have an answer to these and you've thought about these internally, it gives you the ability to be able to really set a path for yourselves. So thinking about talent and training, do you already have the talent in-house? Are you going to train your own workforce? How are you going to train those? Or when quantum advantage comes, or we're getting towards that direction, are you going to continue to leverage external experts? Will those experts be available? Is it going to go to the highest bidder? How do I really know and understand these different technologies across the business, my computer scientists, my classical developers, as well as my quantum side? Then thinking about from an applications perspective, have you started to engage with the business as a whole? There may be a number of areas that people are looking at, but when you dig into the details with some of the different business units, as I say, you're all mostly large multinational corporations, there's probably some application areas out there that could really have a big impact for this, that may not even know about the technology exists. It happens pretty much every day. I have a conversation with someone. 2 different sides of a business don't always know what's going on. So try and bring all of that in, and then ask yourselves, am I going to be using known use cases, or am I looking to develop completely cutting-edge research and be on the forefront from a research perspective? Am I a fast follower, or am I wanting to lead the industry? Both are acceptable. There's no wrong answer to any of these questions. Lastly, then, this is from an end-user perspective. These two sit a little differently for me. So you've got the internal use cases, can tend to be a little bit easier to manage. There's no third party in there. But are you developing solutions to integrate these technologies into things that you then want to commercialize? And in commercializing them, have you thought about the IP concerns? Have you thought about how you go cross borders with technology? Have you thought about how legal and compliance are going to be able to play nice with technology? Understanding all of these questions and having a roadmap for yourselves internally is really, really important. So not only just focusing on the technology perspective. So I am excited to be able to say today that every example I gave to you there and all the different technologies that I present to you are available on Strangeworks, but I really didn't want to talk mostly around what Strangeworks does and what Strangeworks has, and look at our products, feel free to come to the booth to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the larger aspect, the thinking about the commercial aspects of these things. I am happy to be able to announce that today we actually launched a new Backstage Pass program, one with NEC to be able to use their vector anywhere, and one with Hitachi to be able to use their CMOS technology. So please talk to ourselves or talk to those two providers about them. And if you're interested in any of these different use cases, happy to have those discussions. There is one thing I'm sure that is missing from this presentation, because the world has changed in the last 3 months. What about generative AI? Where does that fit in? Now, at Strangeworks, you may have seen our booth, we like to have a little bit of fun with things. So we've actually created SchroediCat. So SchroediCat is our epic new mascot. We have a magazine that is the 3rd issue of this. He's been generated by combining a number of different technologies together in the generative space to really help us understand how we've already got quantum's complicated, AI started to be, now it's even more unknown, it's a little bit black box. So how do these things work, and how can we incorporate these into our technologies? Now, our first iteration of this is called SchroediChat, after SchroediCat. He's available on our website for free. It can help you answer different questions. He's been trained to answer them from a simple perspective, someone who knows a little bit about quantum, or a quantum expert, and he works in multiple languages, so feel free to ask him in your native language, and he's 95% way there you're going to be able to understand the response. And so last but not least, in all of your bags that you've seen, you also should have a little QR code. We have some giveaways, Texas-made sake, and we also have an actual figurine of SchroediCat to give away. So please check that out. Come have a conversation with the booth. Happy to talk about the technology. Happy to talk about the business side. And with that, thank you very much.